In 9 days' time, Wrestling in Newcastle will host Grandslam from which arena is it, Stevie?
I've never been at this one. This is Hadrian Leisure Centre, I believe it's called. Is that right, Ben? Have I said that right?
That is correct. Well done.
Wow. I've never been there, but it's a fine venue, I've been told, and I've seen the pictures, and
Oh,
it's
it's very
yep,
nice.
Newcastle upon Tyne for anybody in the area.
Of course. We've got some incredible matches. I mean, Shreddy's on the show, Brady Phillips is on the show, ZZ. I mean, there's so many talent on this show, Benji.
Yeah, it's stacked. It's it's going to be our biggest event yet. We've sold the most tickets we can. Our other venue, it's capped at like 350, 300, 350, where we've already got 400 for this one, and we're looking for 500. So it's going to be our biggest. It already is, but hope
So
it's going to be big.
buy tickets. They're still on sale.
Yeah, I think there's like 80 left last time I looked. So
Wow. So there you go.
There you go. So we're talking all about that show, the fallout from Summertime Showdown, and a general chit chat and stuff like that. But as always, roll the intro. Now, we were supposed to be joined by Rich Swift, but unfortunately, Stevie is a busy guy.
He's a busy guy. He's a fireman as well as a referee. So there you go. He's obviously this time of year, Bonfire Night Week. He's going to be busy. So yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Benji, that's two different jobs. You wouldn't expect them two to go together, right?
I don't know. It's sort of one of those things, isn't it? A man with honor. He's a referee and a firefighter.
And a teacher, right? He's got three jobs.
Yeah, and he's that also.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Crazy. So, Stevie, as always, my mate, how you doing?
I'm not bad. How are you? I know you've got a cold.
Yeah, this
Not
bloody
too well.
time of weather.
Yeah, well,
typical as always. How's the week been for you?
It's been busy for me, very busy. All kinds of things, not wrestling related in my life, but I won't bore you with that. We're here to talk about the Grand Slam. That's what it's about.
Okay, and Benji, as always, how's your week been, man?
It's been awesome. Obviously, I was wrestling at North last weekend. That was awesome, and yeah, just getting through the weekend, getting through the week, getting through.
That's what we always do, right? And who was you up against at North?
It was Charlie Evans and Millie McKenzie, the Medusa Complex. Yeah, that was awesome. Oh, it was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. So yeah, we're talking about wrestling in Newcastle and stuff like that. But I want to start a little bit with the 3CW episode, which we shot a few weeks ago, Stevie. Yeah. I remember Mike Groom saying that it won't get into a lot of views, but it's number 8 in our most viewed list.
Yeah, I think what's happened is a lot of the old 3CW fans who unfortunately might not be following the current scene for one reason or another, and also people who were involved directly with 3CW. I noticed some former talent in the comments and stuff, so it was cool to see that and what it meant to them. So yeah, I'm glad we did that episode.
Absolutely. And Benji, and of course it was a big obviously part of your career and stuff as well.
Oh yeah, 3CW was. It doesn't surprise me that it has got a lot of views, to be honest, because it is known around Teesside. I think a lot of the wrestling scene in the UK, obviously, people know of Newcastle, but they don't really know of Teesside or what Teesside had to offer at the time. And 3CW was it was known, locally. I knew about it. I was a wrestling fan locally, and those other wrestling fans, there's people who still message me about it today.
Yeah, I think at one point it was in the northeast. You used to say you were from the northeast, and they just automatically assume that you're from Newcastle. But yeah, I mean, it still obviously still happens to this very day. But when I used to mention obviously being part of the wrestling scene and stuff, at one point I think it felt like there was two groups in this in the scene. People would talk about 3CW or WZW, and it felt like at one point it was either or. I'm going back 20 years and onwards from now, but yeah, it did mean a lot to a lot of people, and even now some punters might say, oh, is it 3CW? So the name does carry more weight than I think the sum of its parts, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So, Benji, the reason I was bring this up in particular is one of the comments on that was obviously from Wrestling in Newcastle, and it said that the Wrestling in 3CW was a big part of us Wrestling in Newcastle. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when 3CW like ended, it did leave like quite a big gap, not just in the market, but in like the progression of people in the Northeast too. Because 3CW was one of these places where they used quality talent, but they also use local talent too. And it's quite hard to do that sometimes. I think some people just get like, it gets away with them. Like the company might grow or whatever, and they can't really use local talent, or they can't give them that chance because they're already on like too big of a platform. Where 3CW always did, and I think it left a big gap like that, and that's something which I wanted to pick up too. And the style of 3CW too, it wasn't aimed at any sort of subsection of fans. It was what was happening then, So if you were following the wrestling then, you went to 3CW, then it would be the same thing, and that's what I wanted with Win. So if you watch wrestling on TV and you come and watch us, there's no real big difference in what you see. It's just on a smaller scale. But yeah, and again, like I said, in the wrestling journey, I wanted to give a place where local guys can come and they can be backstage with like the best talent in the UK, and they can get in matches with them and stuff, and give them a place to learn and grow.
Absolutely. Steve, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be pretentious or anything, but I've never understood the concept of sort of saying, "Oh, we're a family orientated show," and "Oh, we're we're aiming this more at hardcores and smarks and things like that." And no, I mean that's not what the WWE do. As I say, and I'm not comparing us, the gap there, obviously in scale and popularity and means. But what I mean is, for me, it should be a variety show, and I'm not a big fan of those kind of terms, as you know, Liam. But it is in terms of, this match could be on any card in the country. This next match, could be on any card in the country, and that's how it goes. You're attracting families, but you're also attracting people who followed the scene and understand, pro wrestling. And I'm by no, I've had a few people message me about wrestling in Newcastle. I don't know if I've said this to Ben before, but old 3CW fans and stuff, and they think I'm involved in more of a capacity than I am with wrestling in Newcastle. And I do take that as a compliment. But when you tell somebody that, they might be more inclined to come along. And I think what Ben was alluding to earlier as well was the way that the sort of cards are structured and the way that the matches happen and the way it's there's a lot of 3CW in wrestling in Newcastle. I definitely see that. And if you watch the events on YouTube, I'm sure all the fans will see it as well.
Yeah. Anything to add, Ben?
Yeah, and obviously, like we've got Rich Swift, who's not here too, and his first opportunity he was given as a referee was at 3CW, and it was one of those places, like I said, that opened up a doorway for him to become a referee and work with competent referees like Sean McLaughlin and it was Jumpman John Myers, and get together with good referees, at an early stage in his career as a referee, and then he went on obviously referee for WWE, and work with the best. Yeah. So it's one of those things where you need those like gateways to to build up new talent.
That's right. He got his name out there and he got discovered as well, I think, is what you're saying, with the people that were there. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. Even the person who's on this card, Rampage Brown, I mean, I hear that name a lot, Stevie.
As you should. I mean, Ben, I'll tell you about Rampage all day, and I can do the same because, it's just so much respect for this guy who's, done it all, had the training school, wrestled all over the country, briefly in NXT UK, but I don't think his talents were taken advantage of by the bigger boys, so to speak, as they could have been. He definitely deserves to be a bigger name than he is. It was great to see him on World of Sport to become their champion. Same as in Defiant, What Culture Pro Wrestling, when he was the champion of that, he was a good flag bearer, I thought. And everywhere he's gone, But he always, you know, I know Rampage Brown well, and he's a great talent, and he always gives it his best, even though, you know, knowing him personally, sometimes he's like, you know, once I'll get in and get out, and you know, yeah, we have our little in jokes about it, and I don't want to meet the fans tonight, I'll get home. But I don't mean to put him in negative light. He's not like that at all. He's a fun guy to be around, but he's a heck of a talent, and despite what he says, what I'm saying is he always gives 100%, as cliches as that might that might sound.
Absolutely. Benji?
Yeah, Rampage, obviously a huge name in UK wrestling. If you follow UK wrestling, then you know who Rampage Brown is. I remember one time they were trying to get some quotes from other wrestlers on Rampage Brown when he was starting to promote his skill a bit more. And some of the names that came forward and give some positive quotes on him, you know, and what he can deliver in the ring and stuff. Like, you know, you're talking like some of the best wrestlers in the world were coming forward and saying, you know, if you're not training with Rampage Brown, then what are you doing? You know, sort of thing. I think it was Cash Wheeler from FTR did one. You know, the list goes on. There was loads. Honestly, you look at that list, there's people just talking about him. You're like, oh yeah, you know, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So before I was to talk about it, obviously Grand Slam.
Sorry, I've just let my cat in. That's what I was doing. She's on my knee now, but you've taken your time to get on this show. I don't know how many shows I've done with Liam, and this is the first one you've decided to come in on. But sorry, Liam, go on.
Never mind. So before we talk
CG this tail out of shot or something, I don't know, but
it might get more viewers. People like cats, don't they? You know,
people like cats. Japanese fans. There's my cat.
That cat does not look impressed.
Nah, she's fine.
Dear. So before we talk about Grand Slam, we'll talk about obviously the fallout from Summertime Showdown. I mean, I've watched the show back. Benji, overall, Summertime Showdown for you?
I thought it was great. It was a great lead into Grand Slam. You know, the event ended with all the fans chanting to see Shreddy. You know,
he wasn't even there.
He wasn't even there. He was in Japan wrestling, so he was very far away. Yeah, and I think the ending of that is exactly what we wanted. You know, it brings us like perfectly into Grand Slam in a main event that people want to see. You know, it's quite hard online to get like engagement with like families. You know, like fans of families, because it's like they're bringing their kids along. You know, and they're not like fans themselves. They might not have ever seen wrestling. You know, have attended a live wrestling show, but we get comments and stuff we're posting, just like, oh yeah, Shreddy, come on, Shreddy, let's go, Shreddy. You know, it's like you go look at these people, not wrestling fans, it's just, you know, families, you know, kids all go, oh, our kid can't wait to see Shreddy, you know, beat Brady. You know,
you've captured their imagination, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Might not, yeah. And that's
I think it was one of those things where, you know, it carries over. It was a really good event. I think it perfectly encapsulates what win is.
Absolutely. Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same. It was a horrible day for me because it was the hottest event, I think, literally the hottest event I think I've ever worked for. I nearly passed out a few. I felt I was just going to go a few times, and I know some of the wrestlers. I think I told you about that personally, Liam. You know, found it very uncomfortable working under those circumstances. But the crowd were great all the way through. They didn't get tired. You know, it was incredible. I don't know. What's in the water there, or you know, maybe they had more water than us, but it was very dehydrating that day, and it's been a good story, I think. You know, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the main event. I won't jump ahead, but yeah, it's. I mean, go on. Sorry,
we had a lot of good lead-ins. You know, everything like you know tied up to Grand Slam. There was a lot of good showings as well. Busick versus Henry, just as a one that I just want to point out. Amazing match, great storytelling. You know, leads us exactly where we need to be with this tag team match. There's loads of good stuff. A lot of the matches that from Grand Slam have been, you know, in the making since like January at the Great North Rumble. So you know,
yeah, I would add Alexander Henry as well, getting in the face of Brady. You know, the first thing that happened, you know, when they come out at the start. And you know, it just all broke out, and I didn't know what to do, didn't know what was going to happen, and you see us all panicking. I think Rich Swift's there as well, and we're trying to break them apart. And the intensity and chemistry between those two was unbelievable. So, for him, you know, to Alexander Henry to come back at the end and say, right, you know, my mate, you turned on him, Shreddy, he's coming back and he's coming for your title. I think it's just classic stuff to me.
Absolutely. And that's just credit, obviously, to Shreddy as well. I mean, the guy wasn't even there and got probably one of the biggest pops I've obviously seen on the show, Stevie.
Yeah. It was great, and it's as I say, people think he was hard done by, and perhaps Brady was jealous because he was getting a bigger reaction than him. It's all classic stuff, and as Ben says, to have families that might not watch, WWE week in, week out, or AEW or whatever on television, to follow this. And to want to come to this event to see that match, I think that's what pro wrestling is about at its most basic, fundamental level. Why are these two? I don't know if it's a cornetism or whomever said it, but it's why are these two guys fighting? What's the reason? And if it's a good reason, they're going to buy tickets. Simple as.
Absolutely, Benji.
Yeah, just exactly what Stevie said there. Really, to be honest, like I said, it's good to just see the local community coming together and actually, following these events one after another. It's awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let's get to the show, shall we? So, Grandslam, Hadrian Leisure Centre. I want to start with the venue, Benji, because it's a different venue. What was obviously the thought process with that?
Well, we just wanted to put on a bigger event. So where we are normally, the Forest Hall Social Club, it's a lovely venue inside. You wouldn't know it from looking outside. It doesn't look like it could be that big. And when you get inside, it's quite spacious and a really good lighting, and really good venue. But we just wanted to try and get maybe double what we normally get. But obviously, Hadrian Leisure Centre can hold 1,000 quite easily. But we decided to go for around 500 this time, see if we can get that, see how we can go with that. We're nearly there. Hopefully next year we can have a bigger event than this back there. But we just want another base where we can hold these once a year big events, rather than just in the social club. Because obviously we've been selling that out pretty much every event, and there's been people that can't come, who just don't have tickets. So as soon as those front row ones go up, they're gone pretty much instantaneously. For the Great North Rumble 2025, those front rows, I think there's only 5 left, and we've still got an event before that. It's a lot. Like I said, a lot of people miss out. So I just wanted a bigger venue. I wanted something a bit about the social club as well, where some families are a bit, they don't want to take the kids to a social club, which I don't think that's right personally, but I can understand it. Where a leisure centre, yeah, totally up for it. So it's one of those things. We want to attract new fans, and if they come see us once, and they might give us another chance at the social club as well.
Okay, Steve.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would say that there is somewhat of a stigma on social clubs. I kind of get that, because they're seen as more of an adult place, and do you want to be taking your kids along to a place like that? But obviously, it works if you put on a good enough event that people want to see. With talking about the sellouts and the success wrestling in Newcastle, and wrestling in Newcastle have had. I think that the bigger event though. I think that works really well in a leisure centre. So it'll be a different atmosphere, with the same talent and obviously the same continual sort of storylines that are going on and stuff, and just see what the reaction's like, what the feeling is like on the day. And it's also much earlier. I think we have to point that out. It starts the doors are at 2:00 anyway, and it'll be interesting to see how that translates as well.
Yeah, and that was another reason why I've done it too. Because obviously we do run the social club. We run them at 4:00, and 4:00 was a time that I picked because it does signify that it is okay for kids. If it's much later, some wrestling events don't start till 7. My kid's in bed by 7, so I couldn't take my kid to a wrestling event. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things with the 4:00. But I wanted to go a bit earlier this time as well for 2, because I know that there is people that like to travel to see some wrestling. And if you have it at 2:00, then it gives you that time you can get home and you still got a night, somewhat of a night. And we'll be wrapping up around 5:30ish probably. It gives you enough time to get anywhere really.
Yeah, that's it. I think the card's a bit bigger, isn't it, than the usual wrestling Newcastle event? So I would expect it to be a bit longer, but you just got to get there, Liam. You just got to get there on time. That's the main thing, and then getting home, take your time.
I mean, I don't mind traveling. Like I said, I traveled obviously to one of your shows that I think was Settle the Score, and it was an amazing show. And this is obviously credit to you guys. The first thing my sister said, obviously once we left, is when are we coming back?
That's great.
There you go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you
There's
want
so much wrestling out there, and for you to travel all that way, and then her to say that is brilliant.
Absolutely. So let's get obviously to the matches, shall we? So we've got 8 matches on the card. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Benji.
Yeah, there's 8 big matches.
But Stevie, looking at these 8 matches, every single one's got a storyline, and 2, it's exciting. Let's be honest.
I mean, that's it. That's what it's all about for me. You know, the building up and building up to something big. When you know the indie scene's got this reputation of just putting on matches for the sake of it, because you know 2 guys are good technically, or they might, you know, it's a dream match in some people's minds and stuff like that. But that's never going to draw the masses. And I know Ben agrees with me on this. You know,
it's an exhibition match, isn't it? You know, it's
a lot of the time it is.
You know, yeah.
And there's nothing. Don't get me wrong. There's if there's an audience for that, and there's 2 guys and they're well known, and they might have been on television elsewhere, and then they've come back, they've come on the indie scene. I think that's different. They're established and whatnot. But if you're just booking matches because you think, oh, that's a great match, that's fine. But I don't think you should build your promotion around that to sell tickets. Is what I'm saying. Based on talent alone, you've got to take a lot of things into account. And the fact that Ben said there's a family that's been following it, and comments like, you know, I hope Shreddy, you know, kicks Brady's ass, or whatever the case may be. I think that's tremendous that they've been following what's been going on the last year.
Absolutely. So match number 1, of course, is Adam Bolton, Reese and Rogan versus Scotty Rourke, Alexander Henry, and Kemper. Now, Benji, I'll start with you on this one. I mean, there's 2 storylines basically joined together. Do you know what I mean? You've obviously got Reese and Rogan with Scotty Rourke. What happened at the Great North Rumble, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, correct. Spot on. So you remember.
There you go. And then, of course, Alexander Henry, Scotty Rourke, and Adam Bolt. That was obviously the main event from the last show. So you've got all these elements in a triple threat. I mean, in a trio time. Talk about this.
Yeah, like I said, this is one where you can go back to the Great North Rumble and you can see it unfold. I think it's a great dynamic too. I think got two fast guys with the 4 big lads. I think it'll be a really good match. We haven't got the standard size ring that we normally use either. We've got the bigger ring for this one.
Wow!
So
it's Grandslam ring.
Grandslam, you know, it's bigger than. So yeah, so all 6 of those men in there, you know, for chaos.
Absolutely, Steven.
Yeah, I think me and Ben are big fans of 6-man tag team matches as well when they're done properly, and to have it where this is built up and it's a grudge match as well. It's definitely one of the feature matches of the event. I feel, you know, just to see Scotty Rourke and Alexander Henry as a team, you know, bouncing off each other. They've got the big guy in the corner, Kemper. Each one of these guys is completely different, and then you know, looking at the other team. Adam Bolt, you know, he can be a bit of a weasel, bit of a sort of smarmy little git, you know what I mean? And he's got Reese and Rogan there, and they're Yorkshire tough, and yeah, it'll be an interesting match there. You can imagine him getting in and out with the tags, and you know, Reese and Rogan coming in and doing what they do best. But who knows what's going to happen in that one? But I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So, Benji, I want to put a spotlight on obviously Kemper, because I feel like this guy is really, do you know what I mean? Everywhere you see him, he's just absolutely incredible talent. And do you know what I mean? He's not been wrestling for long, I remember.
No, he's had a lot. He's had good tutelage. Obviously, he goes to PPW, trains there under Liam Slater. Obviously, he's a great wrestler, and it's good to see him finding himself. I'm a wrestler too. I wrestle on for other promotions, and I see Kemper around a lot. And he's really impressive. You know, there's not many. Can't even think of anyone off the top of my head right now that's like Kemper. You know, there's a lot there. You know, it's a lot to see from him, I think, in the future. It'll be really exciting to see where he goes.
Absolutely, Steve.
Well, you know, Kemper, you know, wrestling Rhino the other week at NGW, and Rhino looked threatened by him. He really did, and just seeing that visual in the ring, big guy. And who knows where he could take it. So we'll see. You know, this is the other thing about at this level, as much as, you know, we want wrestling in Newcastle to be a name, to become bigger, etc. It'd be great to see Kemper to go on and maybe make something of himself wherever that might be. And I hate to say it is a big man's business in a lot of respects still, because he's very much he could be if he wanted to be. I think he can be a big attraction. I don't know how tall he is. I know me and Ben are short asses, so he looks huge compared to us.
I'm big, me.
How tall are you, Ben?
I'm a light heavyweight, if anything.
But yeah, I don't know how big Kemper is actually. He did tell me one time. Was he 7'5" or something?
I think he's the biggest guy we've got.
He is. He's the tallest. The tallest.
I think he's 6 foot.
Sure.
He's more taller than me, and I'm 6'4" myself.
Oh, there you go then. Yeah, he's intimidating. Like, said he in the Great North Rumble when he it was his debut, I think, wasn't it? The Great North Rumble. He entered, and that ring was just full of giants, and he made a mark,
Towered them all, didn't he, as well? Yeah.
Oh yeah. And Xeonox isn't a small man. He's like, he's a good 19, 20 stone, Xeonox. And he got him up for that choke slam. And yeah, he nearly put him through the roof.
Wow.
Match number 2, of course, is Joe Wade and Henry Faust versus Ian Skinner and Vucic. Now, Stevie, I'll start with you. I mean, this is a match which, again, has come from the Great North Rumble and stuff like that, but this feud has really piqued my interest as a fan.
I love this. This is great. This has just happened organically, I think. Even though obviously Ben's helped with the booking of the matches and whatnot, and I've chipped in sometimes, and we have an entire little committee, I suppose. But the way that this has organically come together has been great with Ian Skinner and Vucic. There's a lot of chemistry there. It's the traditional, little guy who speaks. I mean, I say he's not a little guy by any means. Ian Skinner, he clearly works out, he's, but compared to Vucic's the big silent type. And Henry Faust, I'm really impressed with lately. I don't know what's happened. He, and I'm taking nothing away from him, by the way, but the reaction he gets, whatever it is, he knows what he's doing. He's just got a natural charisma. And the way this match came together with Joe Wade as well, against Dara Diablo on the last event, it's Summertime Showdown. It just felt so natural and organic, and big grudge match this one, and I think this could be an unexpected, the standout match. I dare say. We'll see what happens, but I wouldn't be surprised if people are coming away from this event and talking about this one more than anything else.
Benji?
Yeah, well, this is just Ian Skinner's talked himself into a position that he didn't want to be in, really, isn't it? Like, he could have just let Henry eliminate him from the Rumble, not affect him and move on, but he hasn't. He's tugged at him, he's trying to make his life hell. And then Joe Wade obviously beat Dara Diablo at Summertime Showdown 2. And as he was celebrating, obviously, Ian didn't want to wait his turn. He wanted to be out there as soon as he could, take the spotlight straight off him.
Yeah.
And it's came back to bite him. And this is four young guys who are really good and could go a long way, in wrestling, all in there with a very similar style, very smash mouth technical style. Will be interesting, 4 big characters as well, all completely different from each other. It'll be great to see what happens. Like Stevie said, I'm excited for this one. It'll be a great match.
And can I just point out that this is 2 undercard matches that you've mentioned, Liam, both of which have been built up over 11 months. So who else is doing that? It's exciting stuff.
Long-term storylines.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say wrestling in Newcastle. I mean, how many events have we had? I mean, it doesn't have television, and it's not every week, but it's still, good stuff for the big event, Grand Slam. Looking forward to it.
I think we're all in agreement. So this is one that really piques my interest. Like I said, I mean, the Henry Faust and Ian Skinner match, obviously from Settle the Score, that was one of the matches I was talking about on the way home. Do you know what I mean? So to see where it is now, and obviously you've got Joe Wade and Vucic. I mean, Vucic, is a phenomenal talent and stuff like that. I've got to be honest. I think I will be talking about this one coming away.
Yeah, I couldn't predict a winner though, Liam. I don't know if you could. If you want to dare do such a thing.
Even if I do, Benji's not going to tell me anyway.
I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. You never know.
Anyway.
Okay. Next match we've got is ZZ versus Lana Austin. Now, Stevie, it's the two people who's undefeated. I mean, it's Lana Austin. We know what Lana's like, but ZZ's obviously still up and coming and stuff like that. I don't know what to expect with this match. I'll be honest with you.
No, undefeated in singles competition, at least in wrestling Newcastle and ZZ, fans taking to her. But Lana Austin, very much a veteran now. Can she defeat Lana Austin? That remains to be seen. I think it's the obvious women's match for this event as well. Again, if you've been following it, over the last year or so, you can see where this has come from. The fact that they've never faced each other one-on-one. So this is going to be an interesting one as well, yeah.
Benji?
Yeah, I think this is just one for ZZ, to say that, because you said she's undefeated in singles competition, but she did get defeated in tag action, and she was beaten by Ivy and Lana Austin, and she went on to beat Ivy one-on-one, and now she has Lana, and she can right that wrong, she can come away from this she is completely undefeated, no doubters, she is who she is. And Lana Austin, she's one of the most prestigious women's wrestlers in the UK. She's had every title that I could think of, that she can compete for. She knows how to win. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we spoke about Kemper earlier, but Stevie, let's talk about obviously ZZ and stuff like that. Obviously, she's young, up and coming and stuff like that, but every time you see her in the ring, she's getting better and better, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know her history, really. She kind of just came out of nowhere, and to see her continue, and obviously she's getting well known in different parts of the country, including wrestling in Newcastle. So again, if she wants it, it's there for the taking. Similar to Kemper, it's a corny thing to say, but you're just gonna keep at your craft, keep at doing what you're doing. You're gonna have bad times as well as good times, and as long as you continue and you're consistent with it. Who knows where it can take you? ZZ's been in a lot of the big feature matches in wrestling Newcastle, I think. So let's see where this goes, and it'll be interesting just to see her in the ring with someone the caliber of Lana Austin, and I know Lana's been on your show as well before, Liam, and how she'll take to ZZ, what ZZ can learn from Lana Austin. It's just going to be, again, the best word. There's no clever way to spin it. It's just going to be interesting just to see how it goes down.
Absolutely. Benji?
Yeah, and we said it about Kemper earlier. You see these people about ZZ wrestling outside of wrestling Newcastle, and it's the best. It's the best that this country has to offer, and legends as well. She's been against a lot of people. I've watched, growing up and stuff too. She's making her mark in wrestling. She's finding herself. She was quite new to this when she debuted at Wrestling Newcastle, and to see how far she's came since then, just not here but elsewhere, it's amazing, really.
Absolutely. So sticking obviously ZZ as well, Stevie, is one thing obviously with ZZ as well is obviously how tall she is, obviously the power game. Do you think this will play a factor in this match?
Well, I mean, it could do. You never know. Yeah, I mean, she's definitely the taller of the two, but Lana can stick here and move. So who knows? I'm intrigued to see it myself. But that visual, yeah, I can't quite imagine it. With Lana looking up to ZZ. Obviously, we've seen it in a tag match, but without the help of Ivy on the outside, is that going to be enough of an advantage over someone like Lana Austin?
Oh,
Who knows, Benji?
Yeah, exactly what Stevie just said there. Really, it's one of those things where she is young. She is finding her feet now, and it is interesting, that height dynamic. It's a lot of these people that come in now don't have that. It's something that's in her bag and she can use.
Yeah,
absolutely. So next up we've got is Isaac North with Violet Vendetta versus HG Drake. I mean, Benji, what do we expect with this match? I mean, HG Drake's obviously an experienced guy. I mean, Isaac North was obviously meant to be at settle the score, but due to obviously reasons he wasn't. But what are we expecting with this? Well,
it's two guys that haven't been here for a while coming back, and they both want to show the Wrestling Newcastle fans exactly what they're about, and they want to, we have got that undisputed championship, and Isaac North is undefeated. He does want to come back, and he will have his eyes on that title. It's obviously going to be defending in the main event. So you'll be there to see that too. With HT Drake, he's a local legend. If you've seen wrestling anywhere in Newcastle, you've probably seen HT Drake. So he's no stranger to this sort of matchup. It'll be good clash of styles as well here. Both completely different to each other. Both really good strikers though. So it'll be good to see what happens.
Absolutely, Steve.
Yeah, I think the Temple of Malum there have gone back to the drawing board, perhaps maybe gone back to regroup, coming back with force. Obviously, Violet Vendetta's here as well. What factor will she be in the mix? And HT Drake, local hero. So yeah, this is just I don't know who you're going to bet on. You don't know where this is going to go. What's going to happen next? You got to take these things into account. But on this particular night, yeah, Isaac North's got to bring his game, and whether that involves Violent Vendetta, I guess we'll see. But HT Drake definitely has the crowd support on this one.
There's only been one time when Isaac North wasn't actually successful, and that wasn't in a singles match. That was in the gauntlet for the gold. Well, Violet wasn't there, so
that's right. She was banned from ringside. So yeah.
So he's never lost while Violet's been there. So yeah, like Stevie said, she could be that game changer in this match.
Absolutely. I'm curious to see obviously the crowd reaction for Isaac North. Meaning Stevie, Isaac's obviously a unique character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, kids are scared of him. It's that makeup. It's the whole demeanor, the way he stood. I remember in the Rumble where he came out and he took his time and whatnot, and everybody's like, the kids in the social club environment, and it's going to be different again in the leisure centre. But kids, feel they can get out the seats sometimes, and we don't always like this. But running up to wrestlers and maybe trying to hit them and whatnot. But they seem to be too intimidated by a guy like Isaac North, who was again another big guy, he's very intimidating. I'm sure he brought a lot of candy in the other night.
Oh yeah,
Benji, up to you.
Yeah, wrestling Newcastle. Can we say this? Where the big boys play? Can we use that one? Can we use that? Well, no, like Stevie said, yeah. It'll be good for HT Drake though, because we're talking a lot about Isaac North here, but HT Drake hasn't been at Wrestling Newcastle for a number of months now, I think, and this would be a big stamp. I beat him first loss in a singles match. That'd open him straight up for a title shot.
I think it's a classic tale as well, because HT Drake's going to be the faster of the two. I dare say, Isaac North's going to take his time, be more methodical, and it's that cat and mouse game, isn't it? The game of chess. Whatever cliche you want to use, but it's true in this case. The faster baby face and the more the bigger dominant heel. But we'll see how it goes down.
Absolutely. Next up, we've got is Wesley and Serico versus Mark Mathers with Michelle Mathers. Now, Benji, I'll start with you on this. We saw obviously Michelle make an appearance obviously at the last show and stuff like that. I've got to be honest, this was one of those things where I'm like, okay, let's see where they go with this. But talk a little bit about that.
Well, Mark Mathers has a long history wrestling Newcastle. Has been on every single one of our events, and he 3-0 at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Then he got his title shot. You have to give him a title shot at that stage. He got a title shot against Brady, and he lost. And I think it got to him. I think he did think he was, a bit hot. He thought he was the man. And having that chance and it not winning, not taking it. It's done something with him. He hasn't won since. And as Michelle Mathers has said, it's took a hit to the family. He's going home. He's not successful. He's not got the winner's purse. Wrestling's good when you're coming home winning. When you're losing, it's a sad state of affairs. So Michelle said she's going to find him the best, so he can find himself again, get back on a winning streak. And she has found him. What is it? A finalist in Gladiators. See, our group is a big Gladiators fan. So me to be able to put a contender from Gladiators on my event, I was right up straight away. But yeah,
a lot of people think he was robbed as well.
Exactly.
Watching that eliminator at the end of the last series of Gladiators.
Yeah.
So we don't really need to ask many questions of where's he might not have been seen at Wrestling Newcastle, but we all seen him on BBC One. We all seen him on Gladiators against some of the biggest, the people they had.
Yeah.
talk about big people at wrestling. Newcastle Gladiators has some big people too, and Wesley proved himself. You know, he has no doubters. We know what he's got. So this is a big match for Mark Mathers. You know, if he can win here, what does 2025 hold for him?
Who knows? Steve it.
I'm just wondering what's going to happen when the bell rings, whether Mark Mathers is going to be replaced by Michelle Mathers, you know, given her attitude lately and the way she's acting, and she kind of wants to take over Mark's career. I hope I haven't read that wrong, but at the end of that interview that she cut back at Summertime Showdown, if you watch it on YouTube again, you know, Mark seemed to be quite happy that she was there. At first, he was very hesitant and wonders why she wasn't at home looking after the bands, as they were saying. But by the end of it, something seemed to click, and Mark thought this is actually a good idea. So if he gets some expertise from Michelle Mathers and, you know, the history of pro wrestling, you know, we've seen how many times have we seen somebody who doesn't know wrestling on the outside giving instruction, and it seems to work out because they have a different kind of game plan. So if he has his spouse there, you know, Michelle Mathers, sort of dictating what he should do, when he should do it, it could be definitely definitely help him win this match against somebody like, you know, Wesley and Serico. It's going to be sorry, Ben.
We've seen what she thought when he lost to Kemper. You know,
yeah,
Kemper, that's a big challenge. See how angry she was then?
She was.
Could you imagine if he lost here at Grand Slam, and then what Christmas would be like? Could you imagine Christmas and New Year?
I can't imagine what the Mathers' households would be like at all. No,
this is a must win for Mathers. This is a must win.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, Benji, sticking obviously with that thingy from obviously the last show. I mean, that timestamp against Kemper, I was like, oh my god, what the hell?
I'd say it was 3 minutes, wasn't it, Liam?
At 3:48, I think it was.
Do you think you could last 3 minutes with Kemper, though? Do you think you could last 3 minutes with Kemper?
No.
So I'm pretty good, and I don't think I could, you know.
Could you last 3 minutes with Michelle Mathers?
She'd slap my face right off, wouldn't she? She'd slap my face right off.
That's like saying, can you last 3 minutes with Adam Bolt?
Well,
yeah, I think said that. It's 3 minutes. It's looks. Oh, he lost in 3 minutes, but you look at who he lost against, and you watch that match. He had offense. You know, he had a chance to win. He hit him with that big shoulder block off top rope. That's beat many of people before. You know, not just that win, but you know, across the northeast.
Ask yourself that if Michelle had been in his corner on that particular night, you know, would we be talking about a different result now?
We don't know. Yeah, exactly.
We don't know yet. We haven't seen it yet. So let's see what happens here. What if Michelle Mathers is going to make a difference at all? But you know, I'm sure it's going to be intriguing.
Absolutely. So next up we've got is Stoker versus Zio Knox with a very nice stipulation if Stoker's #1 contendership on the line. I mean, Benji, obviously Zio's obviously a friend of yours and stuff like that. So, but there's a lot of things riding on this.
Yeah. Well, you've seen Zio. So Zio was teaming with Nathan Cruz at Summertime Showdown against Rampage Brown and Kegstacker. And Kegstacker lost that match and Zio won. Zio didn't get the pinfall, but you know, he took it on himself to say that he won that match, so now he deserves to be #1 contender. So you know, I couldn't bear listening to him anymore. So I just thought, no, give him that. he was winning me every single night. You know, I can't be dealing with that, so I just give him the match. And you know, I think Kegstacker, he won that Rumble. He says to me that that's the greatest night of his life. You know, you seen the celebrations he had. He was running around that ringside with his child on his shoulders. You know, he had his family there to see him win, and they're going to be there again at Grand Slam. You know, so he's going to want to win again. He's not going to want to lose that. You know, if he loses that championship, if he loses this #1 contendership shot, then doesn't that just destroy his original win? You know, so it's one of those things. I wouldn't count Stoker out. He's shown himself to be a right fighter. You know, he's a big lad. You know, if he can move that body around in the right way, he might come out on top here.
Steve?
Well, you have to wonder about the Kegstacker's mentality here and his strategy. You know, the fact that he's had this title opportunity, as they call it these days, you know, since January, and he hasn't used that for so long for whatever reason. He's talked about He did an interview, I believe, where he was saying, he had other business to take care of first before he challenged Brady Phillips or whomever was the Wrestling in Newcastle champion. And it just hasn't happened yet. Now, the way I understand it, Benji, and you'll know better than me being the general manager, there's no time limit on this title shot, right? So he can use this whenever he wants. But the fact that he hasn't chosen to use it, at Grand Slam, does make me wonder when, in fact, he's ever going to use this. Is Zio Knox going to take it from him? And that could happen so easily. So to put a title, it's one thing to put a title on the line, but to put a title shot on the line, it might come and bite him in the proverbial. But hopefully that won't be the case, because I'm a big Kegstacker fan, and obviously the fans are as well. But don't count Zio Knox out. It's a very dangerous game that Stoker is playing in this one.
Well, Zio Knox knows how to win. I've been, in the corner of Zio Knox and watched him work up close, and I know him on a personal level. I know exactly how he works, and he can win any match, at any time. We lost Stevie.
Yeah, his connections. Then carry on.
So yeah, it's one of those where Kegstacker, he'll have his family there. He'll want to win. He won't want to lose. So it'll be good to see how he goes.
Yeah, it'd be really, really fascinating. Steve, are you still there? Or
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Has my camera gone? I don't know what's happening.
I'll fix around and went off.
Dear. But I think the fascinating thing is for this match as well. I mean, you've obviously got the North Rumble coming back up, obviously next year and stuff like that. So it's really, obviously, whoever gets the title shot, and obviously we've coming up, obviously next year. This is going to be really fascinating how the title picture is going to look, Benji.
Well, yeah, and we did talk about Mark Mathers. He got on that winning streak, and then he came at me and he was like, "I want a title shot," and that might have been too early for him, and maybe Stoker's seen that, and he had just came off a big losing streak when he won that Rumble, and he's been a bit patchy since. He's won, he's lost. Maybe he just doesn't feel like he's on a roll yet. Before he cashes that in, but maybe this might give him that kick up the arse that he needs. If he has a really tough match here with Zio, and he's like, I might have to put this on the line again. Maybe I should use it if I have to. It might force his hand, but we don't know. We'll have to see what happens. And if Zio Knox does win, what's that do? When's he going to use that, and how will he going to use it?
I think he's an opportunist. I could see Zio Knox, cashing in against Brady Phillips or Shreddy or whomever is the champion as soon as possible following Grand Slam.
Yeah,
interesting. Stevie, anything to what we just said?
What's that?
I says anything to add on what we just said?
Oh no, I think we've covered that one enough. I think just what is Kegstacker making a mistake is what I'm asking. But I guess maybe he doesn't come across as the brightest spark in the draw. He's an intelligent guy to a point. He does have his fans. But Zio Knox, he's devious. He's the smarter of the two, I dare say, and I hate to say that, but it's true. And he's playing a risky game.
Absolutely. So we've got two more matches obviously to cover, and next up we've got Rampage Brown versus Nathan Cruz. I mean, Benji, it's two of the biggest in the UK. I mean, ask many fans, they'll either say Rampage Brown or Nathan Cruz. So to have these two in a match at Grand Slam for obviously wrestling in Newcastle, that's going to be a big deal for you.
It's a big deal for me on a personal level too. These are two people that I've actually stood across the ring from, and they were two of the hardest people I've ever, had to wrestle. Both beat me. Didn't come close. And they're two people that if you ask me to name top 5 wrestlers in the UK at any point in the past, 15 years, I'd probably have both of them in there all the way through. They're two of the best that this country has ever seen. And for me to be able to put this in front of 400 plus fans in the biggest event that we've ever had, to me that's a dream come true. And I think it'll completely deliver on the night. And Rampage Brown obviously coming out of Summertime Showdown with a loss against Nathan Cruz, he's going to want to right that wrong as well. He doesn't want to end this year on a loss to Nathan Cruz. And Nathan has said before, he doesn't put his boots on just to wrestle anyone. Now he has nothing to prove to anyone. He knows how good he is, and everyone knows how good he is. And he told me that he will come back to wrestle in Newcastle if we can give him the best opponents. So I want him found him the best. it'll be interesting to see how this goes. And again, after this as well, what does this mean for both these men? What happens after this? On paper, it's two of the best meeting.
Absolutely. Steve, I mean, we've obviously, I remember us announcing this when we did the Settle the Score review show. I mean, again, it's two big names. I mean, how do you obviously summarize this match?
Nathan said it, that the fact that it's been 5 years since they've both faced each other in a singles match. They've been friends, they've been foes over the past 15 years plus, however long it's been. I spoke to Nathan just the other week, one-on-one privately, and I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there who are well aware that on the indie scene, people go to place all over the country, and sometimes it's just another show, it's just another match. However they want to talk about it, they'll summarize it in that way. This is 100% real in terms of the way I was speaking to Nathan, and he was looking forward to this match in such a big way, because being honest, it hasn't happened in 5 years. He doesn't know when it's going to happen again. It might mean more to them than it does the fans. They might not realize the circumstances, the history, the behind the scenes, anything and everything that we could talk about. I'm sure that they'll talk about one day, and I'm not in a place to talk about that. But for some fans in parts of this country, they're aware of what a big deal this match is. For the fans in Hull, in NGW, who've followed these two men as champions and whatnot, and are aware of their history, it would be a big deal to them, and they haven't seen it. They're not going to see it, but it's going to happen in wrestling in Newcastle. As Ben says, fans all around the country who've followed the scene for so long will be somewhat aware. But if you knew, as I say, and it's not my place to talk about it, but it was really something to just share. And I'm sure they won't mind me saying this because I'm not really giving much away, but to the way that we're talking about this match, it really is a big deal to them. So what they're going to do, what's going to happen on the night, I have no idea, but I have to see it, and it could be something really special because they love wrestling each other. Whatever they think of each other personally, they love wrestling each other. It's going to be hard hitting. Cruz has had some choice words about Rampage in the past. Rampage has had words about Nathan Cruz in the past. Many things. I've seen them both in dressing rooms arguing with each other. That's legit. I've seen them be friends with each other, but they have the most respect for each other in the world. So even though Nathan Cruz will come out and do his thing, and he might get booed out of the building, I don't know. I'm sure there's Nathan Cruz out there that come to wrestling in Newcastle as well, because I've heard it, because they admire his athleticism. Some of them know the roads he's traveled, but I think that'll be infectious. When you've got sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but I think you'll get what I mean. When you've got a match where some people are in the crowd who followed it and they're behind it, and it becomes infectious the way they react to the match. This is what I'm thinking is going to happen. It's a prediction from me, touch wood, I don't jinx it or anything, but this is what I'm hoping will happen. And that reaction will become infectious, and others will catch on. For the people there the first time, for the people who haven't followed the history, for the people, even the ones who've seen it in the tag match, which was awesome, I thought. Almost 20 minutes, I think that match went at Summertime Showdown. There's just, again, lack of a better word, the chemistry between those two, when they're on and they're ready to go, and I think they will be on the day. This really could be something special, regardless of what happens, regardless of the result. Rampage is looking to get that win so badly, I think, more than Nathan Cruz. I think Nathan Cruz just wants to bring it to Rampage Brown, because speaking to him, he's just like, he still feels he has something to prove all these years later. So it's going to be electric, this one.
Benji, top.
And I hope I haven't undermined that match. and I think on the day they will deliver, 100%.
Top that, Benji.
I just want to say one thing though, like Stevie mentioned it there in passing, but there's going to be some people that this is their first ever wrestling event that they're going to, and look at the matches that we've already said up to now. We look at all those, and then you add this on top, and this isn't even the main event. And imagine this being your first event, and you're going to see two of the best for the past 15 years go one-on-one. All for the price as well, right? Of just £10. £10. You know what I mean?
Ben, you said it. I hope you don't mind me saying, given trade secrets and whatnot, but you said it to me. I don't know how long ago it was. It might have even been a year ago. Neither guy had even wrestled for you. Neither guy had wrestled for the company. And you said, I'd love to be able to do Nathan Cruz versus Rampage. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And
he said, what was it, 5 years ago? It was Nathan who said it in that video that he did for us. It's been 5 years since he's last wrestled, right? It could be like, I'm not going to say this, but like, is there another 5 years? In 5 years' time, could this match even happen? It's one of those.
This is it. Yeah.
Like, we definitely going to get to see it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. This is probably one of the one match I cannot wait for, because out of all the matches on the card, Benji, this is one where I can't even pick a winner. Do you know what I mean? I will be honest.
Yeah, and again, this is going to be filmed for YouTube. It'll be on there if you can't make it on the night and you want to see this, then it's going to be up there for free. We shoot in the highest quality we can with commentators and everything like that. It's really watchable. So if you do miss this event and this is something that's piqued your interest, it will be going online. So do catch it.
Absolutely. Let's get to the main event, shall we? Brady Phillips versus Shreddy. I mean, Steve, friends become foes. Let's be honest. That's the best way I could summarize this.
It's been amazing, hasn't it? The fact that we never got to see them team with each other, but Shreddy always, he was always there for Brady Phillips. Brady Phillips, the problems with the Temple of Malum. Brady Phillips, he won the title a year ago, nearly to the day. That's right, Ben, right? To the date of Grandslam. Yeah, gauntlet for the gold. And at the time, fans hadn't really taken to Brady Phillips. They were impressed with his performance against like Dino and people like that, and even Nathan Cruz as well. But I don't think he fully won them over. And at the end of Gauntlet for the Gold, he turned around and said, I'm not a Geordie, I'm not one of you people, but I'll try to be, or words to that effect. Again, you can watch that one online. And he had problems with the Temple of Malum because they were obsessed with the title, perhaps Isaac North more so, going after Brady Phillips, and he had somebody in his corner. He had a corner man in terms of Shreddy, and you can measure. I'm not going to say personally, but you can measure the reaction for either man if you want in January. And this seemed to be on the same page. Now I don't know what happened to settle the score. Back in May, it seemed to be a situation where Brady Phillips might have assumed that Shreddy was, grabbing the belt, trying to take the gold after he defeated Saxon Huxley, of course. Brady Phillips, his head wasn't quite there. He'd been attacked after the match. But he seemed to be jealous of Shreddy's popularity. That's how people seem to interpret it. And something just snapped in Brady Phillips. And it's a classic tale. So the fact that you've got this match, built up over a year, perhaps longer if you want to trace it back to the first Wrestling in Newcastle event, as I say, when Brady Phillips came in, and he wasn't liked by anybody, but the fans respected his skill and they were just disappointed with him more than anything else. The fact that he turned on his friend Shreddy, and now he's obviously had problems with Alexander Henry, and who knows who else, Scotty Rourke as well. And now you're in a situation where it's come down to these two, and Shreddy didn't even, that was his friend. He wasn't even looking for a title shot. He wasn't even looking to ask him for a title shot, though I'm sure he would have, loved the opportunity. And now he's in a situation where it's put up or shut up time, but it's put up or shut up time for the champion. So you have a very unique situation here. I'm guessing, 99% of the fans are going to be, if not all, are going to be behind Shreddy 100%, because that guy gets cheered when he's not even there, when he's around the world in Japan. So he's easily, in my estimation, the most popular wrestler in wrestling in Newcastle. And yeah, wouldn't that be something else to see Shreddy, raise the title? But we'll have to see at the big one at Grandslam.
Absolutely. Benji?
Yeah, so this does go back to even, like Steve said, the first wrestling Newcastle. Behind the scenes, we had Shreddy on for the first Brawl at the Hollow first event, and he was front and center on our poster. He was the first person that we actually announced that was going to be wrestling for us in Newcastle. It wasn't Brady. And then Shreddy got injured and he couldn't make it. He couldn't do our first couple of events, and he didn't qualify for the gauntlet for the gold. Brady took that opportunity to become champion and to establish himself as the main man. He's front and center on every single poster we've done. He is our champion, and I'm proud to have him as a champion. He's superb. Like, if you've seen Brady Phillips wrestle, you know what he has. And Shreddy was on a hot streak. He's beat everyone. And it was coming. I think Shreddy was going to get a title shot. Maybe Brady wanted to cut that off. What happened? He was gaining momentum. You've seen the reaction Shreddy's get. Imagine if he put this match off for another, 3 events or something like that, and then he had to fight an even like hotter Shreddy Breck, someone who is, the fans even more behind them than they are now. Shreddy wasn't on the last event. So maybe Brady was hoping that would have cooled the fans down, but you've seen from the reactions that it hasn't. Made it worse. This could have backfired massively for Brady Phillips. Like I said, I don't understand his mindset of why he's done it. Only he does. He did give us a couple of words at the beginning of Summertime Showdown. I don't know if you choose to believe them or not, but either way, it's going to be a match that I don't know. Can't see which way it's going to go, and it'll change the face of 2025. Either way it goes.
Absolutely. I mean, Stevie, we spoke about Brady Phillips on the last one we did. Phenomenal talent. The guy knows obviously what he wants, and obviously in and out the ring. So, do you think some fans might underestimate Brady a little bit?
I think he might underestimate himself in a strange sort of way, because he can turn it on. I think he does the whole he backs off when in circumstances where he doesn't need to, and I think when there'll be a point in this match, I dare say, where Brady realizes who he is, and he does bring the fight to Shreddy. Certainly he's an imposing figure, Shreddy, but when you're on the mat, when your shoulders are down, and we've seen, the technician side, the science of Brady Phillips almost. I think when he's in a certain position, there's nobody better as a technical wrestler. So, yeah, if the fans are coming just thinking that that Shreddy's going to run through Brady Phillips, I don't think anybody's thinking that, but let's see what Brady's got in his arsenal, and he is going to try and either it's legal or illegal. He'll try what he can to get away from the big man, I'm sure. But yeah, he's a great technical wrestler, perhaps the greatest in the UK right now. I think some of the things I've seen Brady Phillips can do. He's very perhaps underrated. We've talked about the veterans and stuff, but let's talk about the newer talent. I'm obviously putting him on that sort of playing field, if that makes sense. But certainly Shreddy is not the technician that Brady Phillips is. Make no mistake about that. But it's definitely a clash of styles. But I mean that in a positive light. It'll be interesting who's going to win, the technician or the big man. And hopefully, I wouldn't underestimate Brady Phillips.
Benji?
Yeah, I think you could be right a bit there. Some people may underestimate Brady Phillips, but I think it might be for the wrong reasons. Brady Phillips doesn't wrestle anywhere else in this region. Shreddy does, and they see Shreddy and kicking ass all over Newcastle. He very rarely loses. He's had every major title that he's challenged for. He is. Everyone knows Shreddy here, and they haven't seen Brady here. But I think we've done a good job of showing them exactly what Brady Phillips has. We have given him the best talent from around the UK. We've give him Saxon Huxley, you know, who earned that shot. You know, he wrestles for Noah. You know, he's not just a nobody. You know, he's wrestled some huge names. He ended Matt Mav's streak. You know,
the Scotty Rock match. I mean, look at Scotty. At one point, you know, he's flying about. He's all over Brady Phillips, but Brady Phillips knows exactly where he is if you watch the end of that match. And hopefully, Shreddy's done his homework and he's not taking Brady Phillips lightly. And I would hope none of the fans are either.
Shreddy coming off that tour of Japan, you know, he's been really busy. Has he been able to do his homework? We don't know this. He's been occupied, you know, in another part of the world. Sure. Maybe that's what Brady's hoping for. Maybe he's thinking, you know, if I catch him at the right time, I can beat him. You know, and he's picked this time now. You know, he has to sign that contract to accept these matches. You know, he might have just picked this moment for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So earlier on, Benji, you said that obviously tickets are still on sale, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, last time I checked, there was about 80 or something left. Like I said, this is a much bigger venue than what we normally do. So in my head, we have unlimited tickets, but it doesn't seem that way now. They're getting very scarce. But yeah, tickets are £10. You can get for 30. It's very affordable. I'm a parent myself. I know how expensive it is just to take your child to soft play or trampoline park or anything like that. You're looking at more than that per person. You know, and we're not like many of them other. You know, we don't charge different ticket prices depending on age. You know, if you want to take your kid to see an event somewhere, not just wrestling, anything, you know, you generally pay more than what your kid does. This is all one price, £10 or 4 for 30. Very affordable. Loads of car parking as well at the Hadrian Leisure Centre. Huge venue, nothing to mess about. Really well positioned, easy to get to if you're traveling in by car. Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. And of course, tickets are on sale for the next event on 2025, which is, of course, the Great North Rumble. I mean, there's some incredible talent there. I mean, massive fan of Angel here, so I'm excited for that. I mean, Stevie, I mean, some familiar names on the faces.
Some familiar names. Tim Strange coming back as well. Obviously, you see Dino there. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. Who's gonna be the champion though? Is it going to be Shreddy? Is it going to be Brady Phillips? I don't know, but it's going to be very interesting this year at the Great North Rumble, or next year, I should say, January. I can't believe it's going to be 2025, but yeah, big one coming up there as well. Come to Grandslam, come to the Great North Rumble. Tickets on sale for both, and as we've talked about during the show, you know, the storylines follow on. You can follow it. It's dead straightforward. It's not complicated. You don't have to watch 10 hours of television every week to follow wrestling in Newcastle. Just come to our events and it'll all make sense.
Absolutely. Benji, anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to say the last Great North Rumble set us up for the entire year. You know, you're seeing the fallout now. You know, and scores will be settled at the Grand Slam, and I'm sure that new scores will be made after the Great North Rumble 2025.
That's it.
Absolutely, of course. That's obviously wraps up today's show. Stevie, of course, cannot wait for it. I'm going to be at the I'm going to be obviously at Grand Slam myself. Benji, you've obviously going to be backstage, so I might not see you.
I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be watching.
He'll be out there. You have to watch for him.
I'll be out there.
I'll be there. I'll be front row as well, so you can't miss me.
Oh, awesome.
What do you think, Liam? Is it going to be Shreddy or is it going to be Brady Phillips, though? That's what it comes down to.
I mean, I'm a massive fan of both these guys, you know what I mean? So it's one of those matches where I'm not bothered who wins, you know what I mean? Two great talents.
Oh, come on! Sitting on the fence.
Who are you going to be cheering for? You have to be cheering for someone.
He's a Shreddy fan. He's a Shreddy fan.
I'll see what crowd is, because if I start like cheering for Brady, and like the fans looking at me going, yeah. Who knows, all right? Cheers for watching, guys.